It's funny how sometimes the most interesting parts of traveling are the things we just don't talk about much. We plan the big stuff, right? Flights, hotels, sites. But what about those little unexpected practical things? Especially things related to, well, personal wellness when you're exploring the world. Things that are still important no matter where you are. Maybe even more important as we get a bit older, gain that wisdom and wonder we sometimes talk about. And it's one of those things, often unspoken, but actually pretty relevant for a lot of travelers. Okay, so let's get into it. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something, pretty unique. The practical side, the considerations of traveling with sex toys. And it feels timely too, doesn't it? We just had World Sexual Health Day back on September 4th.
Exactly. And, our sources suggest that while maybe it sounds a bit niche or sensitive even, it actually brings up some really important points. Things about personal health, yeah, but also smart packing, logistics, and even international laws. So our mission here really is just to pull out the key info, the stuff you really need to know, so you feel informed but not, overloaded with details.
Yeah, definitely. And because it can feel a bit sensitive, we want to be really clear. We're sticking strictly to the facts today. We're leaning heavily on this really insightful blog post, Traveling with Sex Toys, Wanderlust Over 70, and the research it mentions. So purely objective, just the facts. So first off, the why. I found this part genuinely fascinating. Why would someone even, consider packing these items for a trip? Our sources point way beyond just, pleasure. It's perfectly valid, of course. But there are some quite compelling health reasons mentioned in the research. What did those studies really highlight? Maybe things that challenge our first assumptions.
Right, this is where it gets really interesting. The sources we looked at, and they mentioned studies from places like the International Urogynecology Journal and Cedars-Sinai Research. They point to some significant health benefits, things linked to regular vibrator use. For instance, pelvic health.
Pelvic health.
Yeah, specifically helping with things like urinary incontinence. Apparently, by strengthening those pelvic floor muscles, there was even a pilot study mentioned, I think, from the Academic Urology and Pelvic Health Study. It showed a reduction in symptoms of pelvic organ prolapse.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, that's where organs can shift out of place. So pretty significant stuff. And it goes beyond just those specific physical issues. The research also showed pretty clearly improvements in overall sexual function, like increased arousal, more satisfaction. And for many people, that translates directly into less sexual pain, which is, a huge deal for quality of life. But it's not just physical. There's also a link shown to better mental well-being, just feeling happier, more content overall. So yeah, these aren't just random claims. There's actual research backing this up.
So, okay, what does this actually mean for you listening out there, maybe planning a trip? It means these aren't just toys in the frivolous sense. For potentially many people, they are tools, genuine tools for health and well-being, which makes the decision to travel with them feel less like, an indulgence, and more like a personal health choice, kind of like packing prescription medicine or, support stocking.
Exactly. It reframes the whole thing.
And thinking about our listeners who might be embracing that wisdom and wonder phase, are these health benefits maybe even more relevant then?
Oh, absolutely. I think so. As we age, things like maintaining pelvic health, they can become more of a focus, right? And sexual wellness, it doesn't just disappear. It stays a really vital part of overall well-being, intimacy, enjoyment of life. So for more seasoned travelers, these benefits could be particularly impactful, helping with comfort, confidence, letting you fully enjoy things, whether you're home or away. It really shows why this isn't just some trivial thing to consider.
That practicality angle is so important.
Well,
Okay, so once you've decided, yes, this makes sense for my health, my comfort, the next step is choosing what to bring. Because thinking about packing light, getting through airports smoothly, suddenly the size and the power source of these companions become really, really crucial.
Precisely. Yeah, when you're picking what to pack, size definitely matters. The source we looked at really emphasized smaller, more discreet options for travel. Think like pocket-sized things, slim designs. They're just easier to pack, for one, especially if you're a carry-on only kind of person. And maybe more importantly, they're less likely to attract unwanted attention at security checks compared to something really big or bulky. You don't really want to be explaining a giant novelty item at the scanner, do you? Discretion helps a lot there. And then there's the power source. That brings its own set of things to think about. Battery-operated ones are common, sure. But international air travel rules often mean you have to take certain batteries out, especially lithium ones. You often have to carry them separately in your carry-on. But, just adds a step at security. USB rechargeable toys. Super convenient. Increasingly popular, you just need the right international adapter plug and you're set. No spare batteries to worry about.
That sounds easier.
It often is. And then for total simplicity, no power needed at all. There are mechanical toys. Maybe fewer bells and whistles, but zero fuss about batteries or charging. Ultimate travel friendliness in that sense. So the takeaway here is pretty clear, isn't it? Your choice isn't just about preference. It directly impacts how easy your packing is and how smoothly you get through security. Thinking about that before you pack can save a lot of potential hassle down the line.
Exactly. Okay, so you've picked your travel-friendly item. The next big thing is how you pack it. Needs to be secure, obviously, but also discreet and hygienic, right? Nobody wants a surprise inspection leading to an awkward moment, or worse, your item getting damaged, or, heaven forbid, accidentally turning on in your bag.
Yeah, the sources had some really practical tips on this. Hygiene and discretion are key. First, cleanliness. Obvious, maybe, but important. Using a dedicated travel bag or case, one made for these items, highly recommended. Keeps them clean, stored properly, away from your clothes or toiletries, protects them from dust and dirt too. And to stop them getting damaged, you know how bags get thrown around, wrapping them in something soft helps? Like a scarf maybe, or just a soft cloth bag. That also helps muffle any sounds if something did accidentally switch on.
Good point.
And then for discretion, packing them alongside your other personal care items, your toiletries, cosmetics, that sort of thing, it helps them blend in, makes it less likely to cause an awkward discovery if security does look in your bag. It just frames them as personal items.
Right, so it really boils down to discretion, common sense packing, minimizing stress, maximizing privacy.
Makes sense. Okay, now for the bit that I think probably causes the most anxiety for people thinking about this. Air travel. Specifically, security checkpoints. We've all had that little moment of worry, haven't we? Wondering if something in our bag will get flagged. What's the reality here?
It's a valid concern, definitely.
Yeah.
But the reality is often, well, less dramatic than we might imagine. TSA agents, the Transportation Security Administration in the U.S., but similar principles apply elsewhere. They've pretty much seen it all. That's what our source said. Their main job is looking for security threats, not judging your personal belongings. So honestly, a vibrator on the scanner, probably not going to raise major alarms.
Okay, that's reassuring. It is. But preparation still helps. The advice is maybe put the toy in a clear, resealable plastic bag, separate from other things. That way, if it does look unusual on the scan and they need to check, it's quick, it's discreet, no big deal. And again, remember those airline battery rules, especially for lithium-ion. Take them out if you can. Carry them in your hand luggage. That's a safety thing.
Right, the battery rule again.
It keeps coming up because it's important for flights. And look, if you're still really worried about privacy or maybe misunderstanding, the source even suggested maybe tucking in a little note explaining what it is, especially if there's a medical reason you carry it. So yeah, the main point is follow these simple guidelines, be prepared, and what could feel like a potentially awkward moment becomes basically a non-issue. Makes the whole journey much smoother, less stressful.
Okay, so domestic flights, airport security, maybe not as scary as we think if we prepare, handled. But that's only part of the journey for many people. What about when you cross international borders? Because the rules can change a lot. What's perfectly fine in your home country could be a serious issue somewhere else.
This is absolutely critical. And the sources we looked at, they really hammer this point home. You must do your research before you travel internationally. Because while, yes, sex toys are legal and accepted in most places, there are countries with very strict rules, or even outright bans. Ignoring this, it could lead to genuinely serious problems, way beyond just losing your item. For example, the source specifically listed some countries where bringing these items in is banned or where they're considered obscene. Places like the United Arab Emirates, Malaysia, Saudi Arabia. Also, India, Thailand, and the Maldives were mentioned.
Wow, okay, that's quite a list.
Oh, it is. And in those places, customs could seize your item, sure, but they might also slap you with big fines or even press charges. The penalties can be really severe, potentially including jail time in some cases. So this isn't something to just wing it on. The source also had a specific warning about realistic toys, suggesting maybe avoid taking those to certain countries. They might just be seen as more problematic or culturally insensitive than more discreet designs.
Right.
And if you really need these items, maybe for health reasons, a safer bet might be to check if you can actually buy similar things in the country you're visiting. Avoids the whole risk of bringing them through customs yourself. Complies with local laws from the start. So yeah, not doing this research. It could genuinely turn your wanderlust into worryless, as the source put it. It's a stark reminder, isn't it? Cultural norms, laws, they vary hugely. And it's really on us as travelers to know and respect them. That old saying, ignorance is no excuse, it really applies here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. It really drives home how important it is to be an informed traveler, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Not just about the fun stuff, but the nitty-gritty practicalities too. So, wrapping this up, what does it all mean for you, the listener, the global explorer?
Well, traveling with sex toys is obviously a very personal decision. And the reasons behind it, as we've heard, can range from comfort to actual genuine health benefits. But what our deep dive shows, really, is that if you do decide to, a bit of planning, a bit of awareness,
Hmm.
it can definitely be done with minimal stress. Key things seem to be choose items that are practical, discreet, be really aware of those international rules, and pack smart thinking about privacy and hygiene.
Exactly. And maybe the deeper question that leaves us with, something for you to think about, is this. We live in a world now where personal well-being is, thankfully, getting more priority. So how do we balance that? Our own individual needs, our choices. How do we balance those with the huge diversity of cultural norms and legal systems we find when we travel the globe? It's an interesting thing to mull over, perhaps, before your next big adventure, wherever that might take you. Well said. Thanks for diving deep with us today on this perhaps unexpected but important topic. Until next time, stay curious and travel wisely.